Hello, everyone. Welcome to Web3 Marketing Podcast. I'm Dasha, and this is our second season. And the episode I've been really waiting for. We're going to be talking about accelerating your growth in Web3 with grants and grant programs. And we have a guest here with us, Emilia Canessa from Definity Foundation. Hi, Emilia. Nice to have you here.
Hi, Dasha. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. As you said, my name is Emilio Canessa. I work at Definity Foundation. Definity Foundation is the Swiss nonprofit organization that launched the Internet Computer Protocol blockchain.
Awesome. And we are really, really closely related to you guys because you are the head of community grant program for Definity, right? And my podcast got the grant from a community program. So I personally really want everyone to know about this grant program. It's been helping me and my podcast a lot. So the goal number one that we have today is to make sure that all creators that can apply to Definity grants, they find out about them and they know what to do and how to pursue the grant. And the second angle I really want to explore with you is to make sure that all the founders or marketing leaders who are listening to us, they understand what's the power of the grant program, how they can apply it for their business, for their marketing goals, for their growth. So it would be really interested to know your insights as someone who's leading the grants program, how to launch this, how to handle this, what mistakes to avoid, and so on. So, this is something that we're going to be discussing today. Welcome to Web3 Marketing Podcast. I'm Dasha, and this is our second season supported by Internet Computer. We're interviewing Web3 founders and marketing leaders from around the world. Tune in to listen to their insights and real Web3 marketing cases. I'm excited about this chat, but first, I want to learn a bit about you, maybe how you started working with Definity. What are you responsible for right now?
Let's do it. I started at Definity as a marketing contractor for a unit at the time called Special Projects, which was a very effective, diverse, and geographically very well located marketing unit. Later, I was appointed as manager of this unit. And since December, I was called to Zurich. I moved here and we started a little bit of an evolution of that program, which became one of the two major global programs that I manage. Is the ICP Regional Hubs program, which is a very well taught and very quickly expanding adoption program, which counts more than hubs at the moment and a new cohort coming soon. So basically, it's almost the whole globe. And the second thing that we decided to restructure a little bit at the beginning of the year is the community grant program, which we had before in a different fashion. And for multiple reasons was kind of stopped for a little while last year. So we decided to redesign it completely and restart it completely. So far, both programs have been quite successful. Happy to have such a range of extraordinary people on board: creators, event organizers, entrepreneurs, Web3 professional, dev shops, including you guys doing an amazing job. And it's a program that is evolving itself pretty quickly.
Awesome. It's been a journey. And we also created a whole episode about regional hubs. So this is something that you guys can explore if you listen to another episode where we talk to ICP hub leaders from all over the world. It's a super interesting conversation. But back to our topic, the community grants program. Could you maybe go back a little bit in time when you were just thinking about this program, just launching it, and just explain what was the reasoning behind it, what was the goal, and maybe the first steps that you took to launch it?
The reasoning behind such a program is simple. There are three very important components for a successful protocol. And one is the foundation, one is the what we call the ecosystem, so all different apps and developers, and the other one is the community. So we decided to put up an effective instrument to empower and expand the community, mostly designed to welcome people from the outside, but also without neglecting our existing community. There were a few pillars we designed this program around. Well, number one, transparency. Number two, efficiency, and number three, having some sort of goal in mind. So we didn't want this program to be the next, money dispatching machine without a clear roadmap in mind, or without communicating the fact that grantees have had to deliver a plan that was sustainable with some KPIs, some deliverables, and stuff. We also wanted the program to be a two-way kind of interaction. There is an actual management, it's quite transparent, you know it yourself. So the application, the project gets prepared a little bit before approval, then they get managed. Grants get assigned to different managers that are part of a committee. So decision themselves, they're taken through a committee, which is still internal for the moment, but soon a member from the community will be added. And in the long haul, we wouldn't mind seeing this being more and more decentralized and more managed by the community. But back to your question, yes, we wanted the program to be more of an exchange between the grant and us, rather than what you usually see around Web3 and around other protocol where things are not managed this way.
This episode is supported by Internet Computer, and we want to tell you about their amazing Definity Grant program. We've actually received their community grant ourselves. So if you are a developer, researcher, or educator working on blockchain or AI technology, you can receive this grant too. The Definity Grant program can give you up to $100,000 in funding, as well as support and exposure through the ICP ecosystem. You can read more about the grant in the description down below. And if you decide to apply, fill out our form. We will chat with everyone who applies and recommend the best projects to ICP. Don't miss this chance to get funding and join the community of innovators. I can confirm definitely what you're saying is true as a grantee myself. Yeah, so if we sum it up, we can say that at some point you decided that you need help of your community and also creators from the outside of your community to accelerate the onboarding to the protocol, the growth of the protocol, right? And you created this grant program to create this kind of two-way street where you could provide some resources and guidance, and community and creators could provide value and promote the Infinity and ICP protocol everywhere.
Yes. So our community is a very strong one. And we decided to, again, to add an instrument that could empower mostly actual contributors like yourself, mostly individuals or team that could really add something, bring value aside from getting certain operation financed or supported or endorsed. And so far, we've seen great results. I can confidently say that almost 100% so far. Consider that it's just something that is 3 4 months old. It's a baby, but so far we're I think above 100 grants dispatched or something like that in more than 50 countries around the world, all the region of the planet represented. So far we've seen great contributions, also due to this management system where things get discussed a little bit and fine tuned before proceeding. And at the beginning, it might look like a little bit of a thingy to do because everybody thinks got the best idea at all. But with a little bit of tuning, these initiatives can really become great, make noise in the space, become something important in Web3, something important for our community, for the internet computer, and for everyone.
That's true. To be honest, when I think about our own application process, there was definitely some tuning and some collaboration with the program managers on our application, like how to find the balance between what we can do for the community and for the foundation and what actually the foundation, the protocol needs, right? So everyone is getting the value and everyone is happy and everyone is thriving. So totally agree that that is true. I'm going to ask you a bit later about tips and tricks how to create a good grants program. But before, I want to explore a bit more one thing. What do you think is a good stage for a company to launch a community grants program?
It really depends. It's always a good thing to have such a program in place, but also you have to measure it compared to the extent of the initiative in general, to what you want to achieve. The internet computer is a very big protocol in Web3. So we also have decided to go for different tiers to keep it open and pretty accessible for everyone on more basic tiers, and at the same time able to deal with more complex operation, so with higher tiers of contribution and more complex initiatives. So I would say what works best is the fact that there are pretty well defined verticals. They were three at the beginning, now they're five, and we kind of evolved this thing. I would not say at what stage is good to start something like this, because probably all stages are good, but you have to think it through a little bit. Probably that's the recommendation I would give.
But you were at the stage where you had a super strong community, and you probably do have a lot of resources, right? Because you said you gave out 100 grants. So that's maybe not something that every company can. Can you really do a small program, small grants program? Can you start small with it in terms of the budget?
This program is pretty well funded, yes, for sure. To start with something smaller, probably ambassador programs or more entry level kind of operation can be more suitable. But again, it's up to the extent of the company or the foundation or the entity to also measure programs accordingly. And this is key to succeed in a way that you won't embark in things that are either too big or not big enough related to the stage you're at. This is something that we definitely kept into consideration.
You mentioned already that there was a need for a management like system or approach to have in place to make sure that the grant program is thriving, that it's being managed properly. Could you explain a bit more how to set up exactly the system?
Well, in our case, we decided to assign a main manager per vertical, at least at the beginning. And this worked. Now that the thing is scaling up pretty fast, we'll probably decentralize this whole thing a little bit in a way that our regional hubs, they manage a consistent part of grants, because they're very well spread regionally. So they can pick, and we can distribute all different application based on the region and the area of interest. The moment you seriously start scaling, you need to decentralize a little bit, or else things become a little difficult to manage, and it's difficult to serve your customers.
I figured we mentioned this during the episode about regional hubs. They were
Yeah.
saying that, like, yeah, we have the startups applying for the grants. Gonna see if that happens. By the way, I think it's important to mention here that Definity has more grants than just community grant program, right?
At the moment, there are two major programs and Definity concerning grants. One is community grants, the one we're discussing today, and that I manage together with an extraordinary team. The other one is the developer grants program, which is managed by the growth team and is more directed to devs that want to start building apps on the internet computer. A spin-off of the dev grant is a grant we recently launched dedicated to AI projects. It's a pretty substantial one. And yes, that's the newborn concerning grants program around the internet computer and by Definity Foundation.
Back to community grants. You mentioned verticals a few times. Could you please explain what it is?
So we started with three event, content, and education. There is a handbook which you have read yourself, I guess, and these verticals are pretty well explained in the handbook. They expand into different sub branches. They covers a lot of areas around Web3, and these are still up to date, the main ones. But we have added already something we call fellowship or entrepreneur in resident. which is more dedicated to individuals or team that want to build some very useful MVP, something that might eventually at a later stage be of interest of the developer grants, or some special integration with different entities, institution, or companies concerning the internet computer, something that is good for ideathons at universities or small hackathons. Anyway, it covers that area of interest. We then decided to open a specific track for influencers, which is a little bit more speedy because of the nature of the user involved. So yes, there's a specific track for that. And we're thinking about two new ones, which I'm not revealing now, but they're very, very community oriented. Anyway, I think we're about to release a new blog about the community grants with all the news, as well as a new dedicated community and hub webpage on internetcomputer.org.
Awesome. That's some intrigue, you know. So if you guys listening to us and you're curious about more verticals, by now you can already go check the website and see the reveal, right? We are, by the way, part of the content vertical ourselves as a podcast, right? And I also know that when you were setting up the program, as you mentioned, you wanted it to be accessible. So you created different tiers, right? Could you elaborate on this, what it means?
Yes, sure. So there's at the moment 3 tiers. All verticals are boxed into these 3 tiers. The first tier goes up to $5,000 in grants. Grants are disbursed in SEC, but the amount is calculated in fiat for simplicity. The second tier goes up to $15,000 in value, and the third tier goes up to $25,000 in value. We thought that those ranges would more or less cover ideally what we expected in terms of application. And so far, they have proven themselves quite on spot and quite well thought, in a way that the smaller tier serves more as an entry level and can accommodate proposals from teams that are not super well established or initiatives that are not big. The middle tier serves different purposes, is usually the most popular way or another. And then we have the highest tier that it covers more substantial initiatives or longer engagements or stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know for my tier, right, the biggest one, I had like 3 or 4 months given to me for the grant to, like, you know, implement everything that we planned. What about smaller tiers? Is it like the same? It can be pretty long or it can be short, like case by case?
Well, the program is milestone based, so there is a certain flexibility when it comes to deliverables. Usually, 3 to 6 months engagement is the maximum we would like to see in terms of time frame. But again, it's pretty flexible. Of course, smaller tiers usually corresponds to a shorter period of time, but not necessarily. It really depends. And again, this is a program that it's in our opinion pretty extensively managed, so it's a one-on-one most of the time evaluation and management for different programs. For sure, statistics are now appearing on, times for approval on different verticals and different tiers, and times for execution and all this stuff. We have all data now. After a few months, of course, things have taken shapes, but the one-on-one aspect of all this is still a big one. So it's difficult to generalize for tiers, for tracks. At the moment, event and content are the most popular tracks for proposals and application, but education is picking up pretty fast. And usually when it comes to education, you have a more substantial program or a more substantial proposal that leads to a higher tier. So soon the situation might even be the opposite for what we know.
Yeah, I am very curious in this tier about education because I have a background from educational tech before I joined Web3 space. So I am looking at this one closely. Hopefully, after this one.
For sure. For us, education means either devs or devpreneurs. Everything else, let's say awareness or general engagement with different relevant public, for us mostly falls into events. Education is something we take very seriously. So far, 3 4 courses came out of the community grants program, and with very good results, mostly directed to devs, but it's expanding also to other audiences and other targets. So so far so good.
I wanted to ask, when you launched the program and now in general, when it's live already, how do you promote the program?
Again, our community and our reach is pretty extensive, even more now that we have a network of decentralized regional ICP hubs, mostly all over the world. So honestly, we did not promote that much. The initiative has picked up pretty well without huge promotional effort. There is a lot of word of mouth around this. There's a lot of positive experiences as well. We have a net promoter score for people that are familiar with net promoter score. 68 is probably considered excellence across all different industries. So I guess people are making introduction and recommending the program to friends, to people they know in different communities, so and not crypto communities around the world in different regions. Hubs are providing a very solid and well structured funnel when it comes to that. So those are at the moment the most proficient funnels when it comes to application and proposals. Yes, we did not push it that much, to be honest, which makes it even better.
Yeah, organic.
It went on pretty much organically. Yes.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. It means that it's needed, right? So if you're thinking about launching a community grants program to accelerate the growth of your product, your company, you need to have in place a management structure, make sure that there are people that are taking care of the application process, that are able to give some one-on-one attention to all the grantees, right? You need to decide on the verticals, like what kind of grants you want to give out, right? You need to decide on tiers, like, are you not ready to go big? Are you ready to go big based on your budget, based on your goals, right? Think of the tiers, and I think, guys, it's really great that you have small tier, right? So many people can actually try their project if it can actually work well with the ICP grant program, right? So I think it's amazing, to be honest. What I also noticed that basically the grant program is kind of growing itself, not only through referrals, but just to, I think I can share this, right? So part of our KPIs is also bringing people to the grant program, right? Both to the devs, also to the community grants program. So it's like we got the grant and now we're going to bring more grantees, right?
We're building also an elite community out of it, which you're part of. And it's amazing how this community is a community of actual very active contributors. And we're actually happy that the community grant program has actually sustained these people in their growth. And on the other hand, all the grantees are bringing a lot of value, and it kinds of created a virtuous circle this way, which so far has been very, very productive for everyone.
Yeah, yeah, totally agree. And we definitely gonna mention in the end how to apply and how you can apply just directly to the grant program, or how you can get our help as people who are part of the grant program as grantees, how you can get the advice from us before applying, because that's important. Maybe get our own referral to the program as well. And before we get there, I just wanna talk a bit more about from the creator side, right? So the program is super diverse, and the people who can apply, they're either educators who are ready to educate on things related to internet protocol, the coding languages that you can use to build dApps on ICP, right? Or something related to this. This is one category. The second category is content creators. Can be visual, audio content, can be written content, right? Different types of content that can promote the ICP ecosystem, the foundation, this whole thing. And the third category of people, event managers, right? So mostly people with communities, right?
Yeah, don't forget the two new tracks. So influencers specifically, which can be considered content, and also what I would call small entrepreneurs. They wanna build something. We call it entrepreneur in residence. These two are also kind of picking up pretty well. But the three main verticals we started with are still the most popular. The content one, yes, it's got some subcategories: written content, audio content, and video content, which goes into more specific details in the handbook. But yes, all the three major content creations types are represented. So we have application from journalists that want to write something, or bloggers. We have application from podcasters, like such as yourself and others. We got video producers, video content creators, YouTubers, whatever. So it's pretty diverse. Yeah, when it comes to this, you go from very, very high level publication to YouTube short, whatever that could be. Sometimes more technical, sometimes a little bit more on the community and adoption side of the story. It doesn't really matter. The most important thing is the structure of the initiative, and as well to show that it's not just a one-off and without possible next steps for the audience and for the initiative itself. That's also very important.
Awesome. Yes, agree. I also wanted to ask about the language. Can it be in any language, the content you produce or education, or like are there any limitations?
Well, so far we've been pretty diverse in terms of languages. The major ones are all represented, and some regional ones as well. You can see yourself in the contributors community, in the all stars community, what we call the all stars community, that a lot of languages are represented. Like something that's coming to my mind in terms of languages, which I've seen recently in the all stars community. I've seen Japanese, I've seen Spanish, I've seen Portuguese, I've seen Russian, I've seen Turkish, and many others. The program is managed in English to make it fair for everyone. I've seen Chinese recently, but the execution can be in different languages for sure, and it should be actually, because this is a global program. So we actually incentivize that.
Awesome. Awesome. I think it's a great approach. I also did see all of those projects and noticed them, and I was like pleasantly surprised about this. But we need to explain right now what is All Stars community that you mentioned.
So the ICP All Stars community is the community that groups together all the community grantees, because we think that it's good to keep a more selected space for our grantees. Our grantees are, again, actual contributors, most of the time what we call Web3 star teams or individuals. So they need a little bit of a more selected space for interaction, which has less noise than a typical crypto community, and where some actual work can be coordinated and people can support each other, amplifying different initiatives, or asking for suggestion for applications or for presenting milestone and stuff. So far, it's really an elite place to be in Web3, considering the caliber of people involved. and is expanding together with the program, because only individuals or teams that have had a community grant approved are invited to that community. So don't waste time, present your application, and if approved, you'll be part of our All Stars community.
I love this chat, by the way, because you can actually understand how many things are going on. And sometimes when you feel stuck a little bit, which is like any creator or entrepreneur can feel this way, I just open the chat and I see how many people are doing events, education, new announcements, all of that. And you're just like, okay, let's keep grinding. Everyone's working, got to get to work too. So no, it's really, really nice. As a community builder myself in Web3 space, I was surprised and I was happy when I saw that, I need to join this Telegram community, and the way it's set up as a community builder, I was like, okay, I'm in a good place. I like this. I approve everything that I see. So yeah, kudos.
Yes, this is has been thought to be a comfortable place for a certain range of Web3 people that are more concerned about actual work, actual contribution, and actual mutual support, rather than maybe more noisy places. So happy to hear that you're enjoying hanging out there.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. I also wanted to take a moment right now to share the story that how I applied. I actually found out through a friend about the grants, and even though I'm in the Web3 space for more than a year, it was back then. I didn't think that, like grants are possible, especially for people who are not developers. And yes, we already had the first season of the podcast. We had some results, but it was not something mind blowing, to be honest. So when my friends told me, like, hey, here's this grant from ICP, you can go apply. And I'm like, no, come on, that's not going to happen for me. Like, you know, I'm too small for this. I don't have enough results. Like, this huge company from Switzerland, they're gonna give me a grant. Come on, no, that cannot happen. And I'm a very confident person and in life actually, but it really like it felt this way. And I know the more and more I say to people that like I got this grant, right? We got 25K to do the podcast together with Internet Computer, and people like, what? How did this happen? Like they cannot believe that this is actually possible. So I wanted you to share your thoughts on this, how to build this confidence, because I can't just ask you like, how to understand that you will be eligible, right? So many tiers, so many verticals. Like you don't know, right? You just need to apply and you need to work on your application, and even if you don't get the grant, you will understand what was missing, right? But there's still some, like, sometimes there's not enough confidence. You cannot really believe that it's going to happen, especially if it's your first grant. So I wanted to like learn your thoughts about this.
Don't be afraid of submitting a proposal, an application. When it comes to contributing to a community, bigger one or a smaller one, no idea is a bad idea in the first place. And it's important to understand that we value a lot the ability of structuring a nice initiative, even more than maybe the super brilliant idea itself. This program is more about empowering people that have this ability of putting something good together. So if you think you have that, don't worry about how important or not important you are in the space. Don't worry about how big or small your team is or whatever else might be a blocker. It doesn't matter. Apply and somebody will get back to you with a suggestion, explanation, even with a rejection, maybe, but together with an explanation and with a feedback and with suggestion for eventually a next application or so forth. So there's no need to be afraid of anything. At the same time, don't just try it. Try to have a little bit of plan in mind. Put it down in the application. Doesn't really require a lot of time to do that, and we'll be happy evaluate any proposal from anybody anywhere in the world.
Yep. I wanted to just sum up all of it that we said so people understand again. Definity community grants program, right? How it works. If you are a creator, content creator, or an educator, or an event manager, you can propose your idea, how you can contribute to the community, foundation, ecosystem, all of that, right? You gotta show your idea, show your resources, your experience, that you're capable, that you have a plan. You don't have to actually create this all from scratch, because once you go to the application and you have, first you read the handbook, and then you have a big application, and application helps you to structure your idea a lot. You don't need to kind of, create an essay of on what you're going to be doing, which a lot of people are afraid of, right? When you just have like blank page and you need to create some proposal, it's not like this. It's just a range of questions you need to answer, right? Like choose different options or propose your ideas, write down your vision. So I personally enjoyed filling out the application. It was intense few hours, but once I was done, I was like, wow, I can actually do this. Okay, I have a plan, right? And
Yeah, first of all, the application process is guided. Second, it doesn't need to be a huge thing. What really matters is the ability of letting the committee know what you want to do, rather than thinking that, oh, if I put in 6 pages, that will look so big that my application will be automatically approved. It doesn't work that way. Actually, most of the time, applications that I look at myself, I see this problem. It's a very, very long application, but then we struggle to understand what you really want to do. So, being specific and trying to be detailed is definitely the best trick I can give to the audience of this podcast for if they want to apply for a community grant. It doesn't need to be a huge, huge, huge essay, as you just said, but try to be detailed and provide specifics, and that will help a lot, and also will speed up things a lot. We meet weekly with the community grants committee, and of course, we tend to move things toward approval when they are more clear. There's a voting related to that, and the applications that are put for voting, the ones that are more understandable, so that whoever needs to vote for that can really know how to vote for approval or potential rejection. So yes, try to be as specific as possible rather than as long as possible in the application.
yeah, I think it's a really good advice. To be honest, when I'm thinking about my application, that was pretty short. That's why I said like it's easy to fill it, because there are just questions. You just answer the question. You don't have to, like write a lot of words. You just be on point, be serious, answer the question, and then people will understand what you mean. And even if you're, saying something that is not exactly working, right, for the program, okay, you'll get the feedback. And we got actually a lot of comments. We had to fix them all, even negotiated on some things and explained that like, no, 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 we meant actually this. Listen to us. And the manager was like, okay, if it works this way, okay, that's fine. That makes sense, right? So that was a cool process. And in the end, when we got the grant, yeah, I was shocked. I was super happy. So I really wish for everyone to have this moment. It is amazing. We're definitely going to put all the links in the description of the episode. If you're listening to us on YouTube, that's in the description below. If you're listening on a podcast platform, that's also in the description of the episode, right? And what is also important, you can go check the handbook, you can read about the grant, you can listen to this episode, and you can go and apply directly, or you can use our mentorship, I would call it, that we propose, right? Because we're really interested to bring more people to the grants program. So if you need my advice to, give you some feedback on your ideas, or explain more about the process or anything, come to us. We also going to put in the description the link to our own form, and I'll be looking at that form directly, and I will be in touch with people who fill that form. And if you need help, we'll be able to help you and maybe even refer the best projects directly to the community grants. It doesn't give you any advantage, except maybe my own experience that you'll be able to apply this to your application. And maybe not to be that afraid as I was when I was applying. That's also a plus. I would love back then the idea of talking to someone who got the grant to kind of demystify it a little bit for myself. But it's all very, very realistic and definitely can be done and can be achieved. And the Divinity Foundation and Internet Computer, they're giving this opportunity to everyone everywhere in the world, as you said. And I think it's really cool. The last thing I want to discuss with you is once you get the grant, you start working on the grant, you get the first amount of tokens, right?
Yeah.
You work on your first milestone that you already described in your application, right? Everything is decided in advance before you actually get the first tranche of the grant. Once you complete this milestone, you get another tranche and so on. Depends on how many milestones you put into your application, right? This way you can kind of progress with small steps, right? And make sure that you achieve all of the goals, KPIs that you put in your application. But what is also important, that's like, it's not all that you get, right? You get the access to the chat, to the community of all the grantees. You get the personal manager that helps you with the grant, can give you, I don't know, connections. For example, for us, that was very important. And we got a lot of intros to other people who are building in the ecosystem, who are working with the ecosystem and so on. Right. So that was important for us. We got this help. You also probably get the marketing coverage, right? Maybe something else that I'm missing.
Yes, all that is definitely part of the package. You also get the chance to mingle with a very big and active Web3 community, which is the ICP community, one of the biggest around. You probably also get a chance to get in touch with some hub activity close to your region. So also in a certain way to enter the CP hubs entourage or circle of people that will lead for sure to other initiatives and potentially a new application for new grants and bigger initiatives and more important exposure. There's a virtual circle I was talking about before. So there's a lot of reasons why anybody watching this podcast or listening to this podcast should really go on those links and apply for a community grants with the internet computer and become an active contributor and a community all-star in our circles. There is definitely something magic around it, around both programs. Don't be afraid, just step forward and we'll look into evaluate your amazing proposal for initiatives, for content, for events, for education, whatever you feel like.
Awesome. Awesome. I like that we kind of wrap up on this note. I think it was inspirational. Thank you so much, Emilio, for joining us. It was great. I love chatting with you. I think we basically created a quite emotional guide on applying to Definity Community Grants Program. I think it's amazing. And I really, really hope that, guys, if you're listening to this, it was useful. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We're leaving all the links, all the contacts down below. So let us know if you need any help, and hopefully see you in All Stars community.
Thanks, everyone. Hope to see you soon. Active members of our community. And don't miss the next episode of Dasha's podcast because it's great. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, like and follow us for more. We also have a newsletter and a Telegram channel. Check it out at web3marketingpodcast.com. See you in the next episode.